Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Utes in the Brockle Moonhawk mod by AR162B. And I actually have them all already spawned up and ready to look at right here. So the first one is just the normal base model, as simple as it gets version of the car. This one is the towing package one without a trailer. This one is the supercharged version, which does burnouts everywhere you go, even if you don't want to if you use the keyboard. This is the racing version. This one is the off-road edition, which has a surfboard in the back. And this one is the towing version, or the heavy-duty version, with a trailer actually attached to it. Why it's all out of order, I don't know. I spawned these in a specific order, but for some reason that one's like, I gotta be different. I'm gonna be all out of order and be skipped and have to be coming back to it later and be all confusing and be a pain. But anyways though, those are the different versions of the Ute available to the mod. So now we're going to take a closer look at specific parts and how they compare, starting with the fronts. So this is the front for the simple base version of the car, and this is what I'm going to compare all the other ones to. The heavy duty one has the same design with a couple of extras. First, it has a chrome strip going across the lower section right there, and then it also has a bull bar that's designed like the ones you would see on a police cruiser in the USA. The supercharged version has an entirely different design. First, it has a big fat bumper that sticks out quite a bit. Then it has rectangular lights instead of the square ones, and it has a different shaped grille to properly fit those bigger lights. The racing version also has its own unique design, where it has little covers over the headlights, an absolutely massive grille to take in as much air as possible to cool the racing engine in it, and then it has a little lip with the word Moonhawk on it. The off-road edition has the same bumper as the supercharged version, and it has the grille based off the stock version, but it has some extra chrome strips going both horizontal and vertically inside of it. It also has headlights that are two rectangles on top of each other instead of just a square like in the stock version. And that covers all the differences on the fronts, because this one is exactly the same as the one next to it. So now we're going to move on to the sides of the cars. So here is the stock version, which I will once again compare to all the other options. On the heavy-duty one, the only major difference is the wheels. On the supercharged version, you can see the enlarged hood, as well as the different wheels once again, and the exhaust that exits on the side of the car. On the racing one, the chrome strip that would normally go straight across the vehicle has been removed, presumably to save weight. The wheels are once again different, and this one also has a side exiting exhaust, but it's a different design than the one we saw in the supercharged version. On the off-road edition, we have the side exiting exhaust from the race version, and yet another wheel design on this one. And now we're back to this one, so next we can compare the backs of the vehicles. Once again, here is the base model, which I'll be comparing all the other ones to. The heavy-duty one simply has a different bumper design. The supercharged version is identical to the heavy-duty one, but it doesn't have the tow hitch. The racing version has the rear bumper entirely removed to save weight, and then it also has a roll cage you can see from here. The off-road edition is identical to the supercharged version. And the one with the trailer has a trailer attached, obviously. And now we're back at the base model with the last thing we're going to compare, which is the internals of the vehicle. So this one has a 378 cubic inch engine, a 3-speed transmission, and then a suspension that isn't that much different from the normal coupe version of the vehicle. The heavy-duty version has a bigger engine than the base model. It has a 423 cubic inch V8. It has the same transmission, but it has a different rear differential, which means the gears are closer, so you have less top speed, less miles per gallon, but more power down low, which makes it better for carrying things in the bed of the truck or even towing a trailer. The suspension has also been modified. It's a lot more stronger and heavy duty, so it's more like a truck's than a car's, which again makes it a lot better for carrying things in the bed or towing a trailer. The supercharged version has a, you guessed it, supercharged engine. It has a 423 cubic inch engine, just like the one in the heavy duty model, and then it also has the exact same suspension as a heavy duty model, except the differential is different. This one actually has a limited slip differential, which makes it a lot better for going around corners, because the other two we looked at so far had open differentials. Up until now, every engine has been bigger and more powerful than the last one. That changes with the racing version. It is a smaller 339 cubic inch V8 engine that is tuned for racing, so it makes about 350 horsepower at its peak, which is quite a bit less than the supercharged one, which made just over 500 horsepower at its peak. To make up for that, though, it does have a close ratio 4-speed transmission instead of the 3-speed in the other ones, and then it also has a suspension that's been specifically tuned for racing. It also has some tires on it that are not DOT approved probably and are only legal on a racetrack, so it has a lot more grip than the other one. So even though it may be down on power to the supercharged one, it's probably a lot better around the track. The off-road version has the exact same engine as the base model, but it has a limited slip differential in it, just like the racing and the supercharged version. It also has a different suspension setup that's more suited for off-roading, as well as tires that are more off-road focused than the other versions of the vehicle. Are you overloaded with information now? I would think so, because that was a lot of information thrown at you. I had a cheat sheet that I was basically reading off of that whole time, because there was no way I could remember all of that in my head. So I think there's really only one comparison left to do at the moment, which is a comparison between a normal Moonhawk and the Ute version. And to do that, I want to get rid of all the extra Utes I have, so we're just going to go ahead and pop into a different map. Hey, would you look at that? I loaded up the map and the cars were already spawned up, ready to go. Wow, that's convenient. Yeah, right. I just didn't want to talk during that part because I didn't have much to say, and I'm kind of losing my voice, so I wanted to keep my words as minimal as possible, which is still a lot of talking compared to a lot of people with me, but whatever. So now we're going to compare mostly the structure of the car. We're not going to look at the little details like the bumpers and the grills and all that. It's just the structure. And from the front of the car to about right here, they're identical between the two. But the first difference you'll notice is that the window shape is different between the Ute and the Coupe over there. On the Coupe, you have basically two 90-degree angles on the back section right there. On the Ute, it looks more like a trapezoid overall. It has like a trapezoid-like shape to it, which means these are not 90-degree angles, obviously. And then you look at the B-pillar, and you'll see that the B-pillar is a lot thicker, so it's obviously been reinforced. So that means this car should still have enough structural strength to it to keep you safe in case of a rollover, which I'll be testing eventually. And then, of course, we have the whole Ute section, which is a totally new design from the rear seats in the Coupe. And then one nice thing I like is that this one actually has a tailgate that would open and close using the trunk that was previously there. And I think that about covers everything for the exterior, so let's pop into the interiors on both cars. And the design between them is identical basically, except of course for the back behind the seats. And you'll see the Ute has just a small gap right there, and the Coupe has chairs. That's all. That's all the differences I have to say. So I think the first test I'm going to want to do is put something in the back of the Ute and see how it drives with something in the back. So we'll start off with something nice and light, like a hay bale. That should be a totally reasonable thing for a Ute to be able to carry in. Oh wow, that hay bale's a lot bigger than I thought it was. It just barely doesn't fit. Like it's sticking out a little too much on that edge. I think I could get it to fit with the map editor, but I've been having some issues with the map editor where it would crash when I was recording, so I don't want to touch it right now. So instead, we'll just run with it like this and see how it does. There we go. That's a perfect fit now. Just had to let it jiggle about. So I'm looking at the suspension, and like I said, this one has a suspension that's very much like the Coupe or sedan, so putting all that weight in the back causes some significant sagging. Luckily, though, it still drives. I don't see any reason you couldn't do this, but you're probably pushing the limits of what this car can do with the suspension it has. And now we could do a crash with the hay bale in it and see what the hay bale does when it smashes into the back of the car, or the back of where the driver would be, I guess. It's not the back of the car, really. Throw 8x slow-mo on so you could actually see the hay bale in action. So, oh, it just went right through it. It's not exactly what I was hoping for. Alright, let's get the hay bale out the way and we'll just look at what the regular impact did. So you can see right there, that seat went way up. That is, your lungs have been crushed kind of thing right there. Passenger, kind of similar issue. The seats just got smushed way up. And that was from the hay bale. You can tell that this back tailgate, or not tailgate, this back glass was shattered out from the hay bale, and then this metal section was pushed inwards because of it. So that hay bale just killed him for sure. Like, there's no way you're going to survive that. Passenger, it's really iffy. I mean, that impact itself was pretty hard, so that is already going to be pretty difficult to survive. Alright, so now I'm going to do a collision without the hay bale just to see the difference. I believe the speed was like 60 miles per hour-ish, so that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully it's close enough. And you should see a difference in how the part behind the drivers compresses. It shouldn't compress much at all this time. except for the impacts. What the impact causes, I mean. Because there's no hay bale there. So I'm going for about 60 miles per hour. And there you go. It looks a lot safer that way because your face isn't been forcefully shoved into the windshield. And the back section actually held up pretty well. That's cool. That's always a cool test to do, I think. Just seeing the difference between carrying something and getting in a crash and carrying something without, or getting in a crash without carrying anything. It's cool. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is do a suspension test because I'm looking at the suspension test right there and I'm like, that could be fun. So I'm just going to go straight on this one and see if it can do it. And it looks like it's doing fine. It kind of glitches through the bed of the Ute a little bit, but it's not bottoming out or anything, so that's a success. Now let's try it on the other suspension test, a little bit more difficult one. Oh man, that is some serious weight on those rear wheels when I do that spin around. So let's see. You can do the easy one, well what about the harder one? I think, I see sparks. No, not happening, my hubcap's gone. Well that might just be because it's such a steep angle. It actually is, it did it really. Yeah, it has a little bit of damage, but I think that would happen even without the hay bale. So that's impressive. Now I want to roll it over. So let's see if I can get this thing to roll over and see how strong the roof is. All we have to do is just something like that. There we go. Perfect. And you can see even with a rollover, that roof was strong enough to keep the occupants alive probably. No problem with that kind of crash. As long as they're wearing their seatbelts or something, I see no reason they would be seriously injured. So the extra long and extra strong B-pillar is the truth. And I could try to do one more rollover if I can find the right kind of bumps. And almost. Come on. Aw, not quite. Oh well. We'll beat this thing up so you can just get some idea of how it looks when you gradually damage it then, as I try to roll it over. There we go. And another roll, and that B-pillar stays strong. And this is what you see on the inside now. Nothing! I have no idea where I'm going. I do notice that the roof is caved in just a little bit in between the two drivers. I don't think it's enough to cause injury because it's right in the middle, but it is definitely getting close where if it rolls over a third time, it'll cause some injuries. And it's not like a car is ever designed to roll over 3 times and keep the drivers alive. That's just whack. Like, that's not how it works. But I'm going to roll it over again, and that one would cause injuries. That one, the roof is caved in a lot. Like, you can see the headrest sticking out a bit, so your head's probably going to get smushed. You know what we could do for one more, like, fairer test is just do a single really hard drop and see how it copes with that. So all we have to do for that is just going to drive it up here and then drive off the edge slowly, and it should roll onto its roof if I get it at the right speed, which might take a couple tries. So I'm going to respawn it once I get up here, like so. And now all I need to do is probably just hold it in reverse, and it should hit it mostly on the roof. Now this impact's going to be a lot harder than you would ever really get if you're crashing a car and getting in a minor rollover. So I expect this to cause serious injuries to the drivers. And it looks like my expectations are being met because that thing looks like it has a chop top right now. It's been severely crushed on the roof. And it looks like, well, surprisingly, the seats are not sticking out through the roof. I thought they would be from that impact. So it is still probably strong enough in this situation where you might not be damaged from a crushing force of the roof crushing you or whatever. You might be okay. It's really close to crushing your head if you're right at the top of the headrest, though, that's for sure. I'm actually quite surprised how well that held up. Anyways, next thing I want to do involves a different version of the Ute, so let's just switch it up. And I want to get the heavy-duty one with the trailer and all that. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I wonder if there's anything I can really fit in the back of this. Like, obviously the hay bale is not going to fit, but there are some smaller things I could try. Like, ooh, the tire stack. That should fit. And it makes sense. You have tires because you have wheels in there too. Of course, these are going to fall out because they're not strapped down, but whatever. Oh no, it broke the strap, and then it fell out still. Alright, close enough. Now I need to put something in the what you call it, the ramp thing. Ramp thing. I call it a ramp thing because I use it as a ramp more often than I use it as a trailer. That's the truth of the matter. You know, I want to put another ute in that trailer, but I don't think it's big enough. So maybe we'll just do a pigeon because I know a pigeon will probably fit. And we'll see if the ute would have fit or not based on the pigeon. And I don't think this ramp really opens up good, so I'm just going to teleport it. And yeah, the pigeon's barely going to fit. There's no way a ute would have. Hold on, pigeon. Hold on. Back it up. Stay. Parking brakes on. Stop rolling forward. Oh my god. So for the pigeon to stay on, I gotta keep it going in reverse at all times. Kind of funny and awkward. I mean, it stays that way. I had the parking brake on and it just rolled forward. And it was just gonna roll right into the back of my car. Anyways though, with tires in the back, engine in the back, wheels in the back, and a pigeon on the trailer, this thing is still able to reach up to highway speeds, it looks like. I don't know how well it'll do going around a corner though. We'll try to slow it down to a reasonable speed to a corner. Oh no! When I decelerate, the pigeon I have to decelerate real gently so the pigeon doesn't get shifted too much and then crash into me. Alright, good. So it can kind of corner. It's real sketchy though, that's for sure. Alright, let's do a crash and see how that affects everything. Because I have so much stuff attached to me. It's just going to be a chaotic mess, probably. It's right into the wall. Ha! Oh man, that is a mess. Wow. Well, heavy duty one can haul things no problem. That's for sure. Has no issues there. So now let's try to whip this thing around a bit and see how well the pigeon stays on just for fun. Oh wow, really? I'm impressed. Pigeon stayed on. I mean, that wasn't anything too serious, but I thought it would fall from that. Oh, there we go. Got that pigeon off. It's always weird when the trailer stays attached even after I flip over. It's like, how does that happen even? I just had a dumb idea. So the pigeon's in reverse, right? Release the pigeon! Come on. Hey, it works. That thing is not like a drivable ramp, though, so it's not really designed for cars, as you can tell. I just use the pigeon because it fits. Let's see, what else could we use here? Maybe something that's a little more logical. I don't know. How about... I don't know. Like, we could try to put some bricks in there, but it probably won't catch most of them, so those are no-go. I already did the hay bale. Maybe just a metal box. Kind of small, though. It fits pretty nicely, though. I like the little box. Looks good to me. Let's drive. That box might actually be in the trailer a little bit, so let's just say it's strapped down. Oh, there go the tires. I'm not steering this trailer. It's starting to steer on its own from the weight. About like just kind of jiggling. That was the scary thing. Like right here, right there, like that. I'm not steering left or right. The trailer just keeps wiggling for a while. Oh goodness, the trailer just yanked me. This is why you don't do high-speed maneuvers in a trailer with a trailer attached to you. There's a good reason you don't. You know, I never showed the J-beam structure for this. Ta-da! There it is. You see all the little bits and stuff have a J-beam structure to them, so yeah. It works good. It's one of those things where I usually forget if a car crash is really good to show off its J-beam structure. That was a nice crash, and it was in full speed. I'm surprised the block didn't cause more damage to my car. So I think now we can go ahead and try out a different version of the car. We're going to do the off-road one, and I want to go to an off-road place like Rally Forest. If you don't know this course, it's nothing too extreme or anything. It's just a lot of dirt roads that have a lot of bumps to them, which is exactly the use case I imagined for an off-road ute like this one. But I don't want it blending in too much, so we'll go ahead and make it blue. Perfect. And we got a surf boy too. We're looking for the ocean, but we got lost in the forest. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. So yeah, going through these corners like this, going through the bumps, and we'll just see how well the whole vehicle copes with all that kind of stuff. So far, so good, though. Whoa. Handling is a little sloppy right there. It's like, I'm steering left. It's like, hold on, I don't want to go left yet. And it's like freaking me out. Like, I said go left. It's able to get to a pretty good speed for what it is. I mean, this one has the base model engine only, like I said, so it does a pretty good job. Try to drift the corners just a little bit. I'm afraid to try to push this too far because I don't know how it drives exactly. Yeah, though, I like it. It works good for this. As far as I know, it's just rear-wheel drive. It's not like it's all-wheel drive or anything like that. Alright, time to crash. No brakes, full throttle allowed. Only. And we go as long as we can. And that's as long as I could do. See, there's a more realistic kind of rollover case, and you see it holds up really well for like a realistic rollover. And since the car still drives, well, why not? I'll go a little slow on this ramp, or this bridge, I mean. And now we're gonna once again do full throttle, no brakes allowed until we crash. And if I wanted to cheat through this, I can kind of just swing the car left and right so much it doesn't gain speed, but that's not the goal. The goal is just to push the car to its limits until it crashes. Although I don't know if it's reaching the same speeds it used to. It might be damaged in some way, but now it's definitely damaged. Is it the tires won't spin? Oh, weird. That tree actually made it where the tires won't spin. No, it didn't. It was just an illusion. What do we see from the inside? Absolutely nothing. Keep going. How did I hit the back of it? I don't remember doing that. What did I guess it was when I rolled over and I just didn't notice. I am completely oblivious to that damage. That's terrible. Yeah, I really like the way this thing goes for off-roading, though. It's good. It's obviously not going to be no rock crawler or anything, you know, just looking at the ground clearance and the tires and the fact that it's a rear-wheel drive vehicle. But it does good at this kind of stuff. Whoa. I couldn't do nothing. I was going to roll over. Alright, I think I'm done with that. So now it's time to do something different. I want to do some racing. So let's go to... I don't know where to go for racing. We could just go to Hirochi Raceway, I guess. That's the go-to racetrack, I guess, probably, yeah. So obviously for this, we're going to be using the Racing Ute. And since the car we just did was blue, let's do this one in Taxi Yellow. This is a taxi. It's a really cool taxi. So initial acceleration from like 0 to 60 is terrible because of the gearing. And in a regular race, you very rarely have to do that kind of acceleration, so it makes sense that it would be like that. And now we can just drive around this course some, and I'll tell you kind of how it feels. So right off the bat, I am noticing... well, let me do a couple of corners to make sure it wasn't just like a one-time deal of what I'd noticed there. Okay. It did it there again. So last corner before I make a conclusion. Yeah. So this car is more tuned for understeer than oversteer. And the difference is oversteer is kind of when you go to a corner and you spin out like that. That is too much oversteer. Understeer is kind of the opposite. You steer your wheels and your car keeps going straight. And that seems to be what this car is tuned for. So it's an easy car to drive around a racetrack, but it's not going to be as fast as some of the other cars probably that are tuned to be able to oversteer. So you have a really good driver who's able to control it properly. So they have just the right amount of oversteer to be able to nail the corners perfectly. So what I'm getting at though is it's not going to corner super tightly, but it's going to be an easy to drive car. So like right there, I thought I would corner a little tighter. Not quite, but I was able to keep it on the road enough where it didn't crash. And you shouldn't have any issues controlling it, though. I mean, I'm throwing this thing around the corners all willy-nilly with a total disregard for my driver's safety, and it's pulling through it no problem. See, on a corner like this is where it hurts, because if I had just a little bit more oversteer, I could have went through that a lot faster, I think. And then again, I wonder if this is possibly tuned for more like a wheel than a controller, because I am only using a controller here. And I wonder how that would change the characteristics of it. I don't think it would change it too much. I don't know. It's hard to know. I like it though. It's easy to drive. That's the key. And it's reasonably fast. It's not gonna break no records, but it's probably as fast as a. Well, it's a lot faster than the stock versions of the Moonhawk. That's for sure. But I don't know exactly what I could compare it to. Maybe a Corvette, a racing Corvette. That's probably about what it is. Whoa! Yeah. It catches me off guard, though, sometimes, the understeer. Whoa, there's some oversteer. How'd I do that? Somehow I coaxed some oversteer out of it. I was doing a nice drift right there. I mean, if you really wanted to oversteer, you just tap the parking brake and it'll drift all over the place. I don't know how stable it is as a drift car. Could try it out, do this lap as a drift car. I bet I'll spin out in the first corner, but who cares? Here we go. Yep. Okay. Saved it. Didn't crash. It doesn't want to drift, it feels like. Like you have to force it to drift so badly. I guess it could drift, sort of. But there are better cars for it, that's for sure. This is a race car. It's actually pretty easy to drift. I guess that first one was just kind of me having to figure out exactly how to time things. And again, into the grass. But you know what? The key here is I did how many laps with this thing and I haven't even really damaged it yet. Because it's that easy to drive. I want to damage it really badly now that I said that. So we're going to show you a bad drift. I'm going to drift! Oh no! There we go. That's what I wanted to see. And I guess the supercharged version also kind of fits on a racetrack. It's going to be a lot less composed around the corners though. So this one I probably will crash. What do you mean I selected a different car in the menu? You're crazy. This is exactly the car I chose. Yeah, I know. Anyways though, this one is kind of the exact opposite of the race version. The race version has a tendency to understeer. This one has a tendency to oversteer. So this one probably would be a much better drift vehicle if you wanted to drift Ute for some reason. This is probably your best option in BeamNG.drive. And you can see I can basically pull the back end out with just the steering wheel and the throttle. I don't need to use the e-brake to pull this thing out. So that's a nice benefit to have. Of course, you know, you can use the e-brake if you wanted to have it even more severe of a drift, but I'm just pointing out the fact that you can do this without touching the e-brake means it's a lot more appropriate for drifting. As for actually going around corners in a non-drifting fashion, yeah, you don't want to try to do that because this is what kind of happens. It goes terribly. It feels like this car wants to slide everywhere, and you should appease the car and slide it around every corner. Although it's not quite steering right after that collision. I'll keep pushing it. I don't care if it's damaged. I believe in the Ute. Come on. Nope, it's too damaged. I can't do this. Something's not quite right with the suspension though, because I could feel it pulling to a direction. And when it does that while you're trying to drift, it's just really awkward. I should try drifting with something in the back. Oh, that sounds dumb and fun. Alright, what are we going to put in the back, though? You can hear the ABS as it comes to a stop. Will a concrete barrier fit? No, it's not the right orientation or the right size. Like, I don't think it'd fit. Hay bales will definitely fit. So make sure to reset that so they're both the same angle. And we just drop it in like that. Perfect. Gotta get this hay to my horses. Cause my horses are hungry. I can't remember why I say hearses. It's one of those intentional things. Like, there was something that came up where I ended up saying hearse as a joke. Oh goodness, it don't want to drift. It don't want to drift. Ha! Hay bale delivery completed. That's exactly where I wanted to deliver it. It was all according to plan. So, yeah, drifting with things in the bed of the truck is a poor decision. At least it definitely was in that scenario. I really like the way this one drives for a drift vehicle. I don't know if it's really made to drift or anything by the developer of the mod, but it feels great for me. So, does that about cover everything then? Like, for like actual driving and basic crashing? Yeah, I guess so. I could do a couple of rear end collisions though. That would make sense since the rear is where all the modifications were. So let's do that. Add a different map. And then we could throw them off cliffs and all that. So let's head to the port. This is probably a less than ideal map to use, but whatever. Too late now. I chose it. We're gonna stick with it. So for the one that's gonna crash into the other ones, we'll use the supercharged one so we could accelerate as fast as possible in this kind of tight, confined space. And then we'll crash into probably just the basic version, since I see no reason to get a fancier one for this. All I'm gonna do is just drive it up to about right there, so I should be able to hit it at about 50 miles per hour at least with the supercharged one, which should be fast enough to cause some good damage. Oops, 100 times slower. No, 8 times slower. There we go. Hey, what the heck? Let's do 100 times slower. Get really good looks at this damage, although I can't find a good camera angle. See, this is why I do 100 times slow-mo, so I can figure out what's the camera angle I'm going to use going to be. And that's it right here. That's the camera angle. Alright, we'll just let it go, because we're going to hit the tail hitch and impact. It's kind of hard to see exactly what's happening because of the camera angles, though. Whee! How about this angle? There we go. Speed up just a bit. Oh, that was like a lurch. Alright, well, that should be good. Just get an idea of what happens in a rear impact. I see no major structural issues to be concerned about. And really, that's all I wanted to test, because the side impact's going to probably be pretty similar to a stock one, as well as the front impact. The thing I was mostly concerned about was the rear impact, which, yeah, I see no issues. Anyways, on to... let's go to the cliff. For these tests, I'm going to use the one with the trailer for pretty much everything, just because it has so much on it compared to the other ones. Like, the other ones, they don't have as much stuff, so more stuff equals more fun, usually at least. So there we go. And we'll just drive off over this way. I want to try to get a slightly different angle than what I would usually do. Usually I drive off in one specific way. I like trying to get a little bit of change here and there if I can move my car. Come on. There we go. Accelerate. Alright, perfect. Here's a different angle. Probably gonna feed into the same spot I always end up at, but hey, it's a thought that makes me happy. Oh, the engine. Oh, there goes the extra wheels. I like that the trailer actually came back and beat me up too. Like, I thought the trailer was gone. He's like, no, I'm here. And smashes me up. So that held up really well so far. Like, the only real damage, oh, there's some damage. I was gonna say the only real damage it has is a little bit to the roof, but now it started to really roll hard and got some actual damage to it. Do you drive? Not really. Not really. I'm trying to steer, but it don't do nothing. Oh, yes. I don't know why I'm hitting the gas pedal since it doesn't even matter, but I'm going to do it anyways. Alright. There we go. On to the next map, which will be Brutal Slope. Alright, so we'll do the same car like I said, but maybe we'll switch up the color. That sounds like a good plan. So maybe we could do, I don't know, how about, yeah, Fiesta Yellow. We having a Fiesta in my Moonhawk. It's actually weird to call this a Moonhawk because it is a Ute and all. Like, For me, a Moonhawk should be a sedan. This thing needs like its own custom name. Like the Ute Hawk. There we go. That'll work. You know, some cool name like that. I don't know. You guys got anything good? Like a cool name for this that kind of relates to the previous name? That'd be awesome. 'Cause I can't think of nothing besides what I already said, which wasn't that good. Okay. Trying to control a trailer like this is not easy. It's just sliding all over the place. I'm not even like steering anywhere, and it's just left, right, left, right. I'm really curious what the trailer's gonna do in this impact. Because I've seen cars do this before, but I've never seen a trailer attached by a tow hitch. What happens to it, really? It actually held up. The trailer is very durable. That is impressive. I guess the car took most of the impact, probably. I know there is some bend to it, but it's a lot less damage than I expected. I could still identify that was a trailer before it started to roll away. Get back here! See, I would look at that and I would still say, yeah, that's a trailer. The car? No. I would not look at that and say, oh yeah, that's a car. I'd be like, really? Okay. If you say so. As for convertibilizing this, well, let's find out. I don't know how well this will go. Because, well, I guess it'll work. I was going to say, I don't know if it'll work okay because of the engine being in the back like that. But I'm pretty sure it'll just crush the engine anyways. So it shouldn't be an issue. So again, I'm doing very minimal steering right here. Just to try to keep it lined up with where I want to go. And the trailer's just all over the place back there. I'm not even steering right now. The trailer's kind of straightening out, but not really. Crazy trailer. Let's watch this convertible become alive. Oh, that actually went through it nice and clean. Except for the trailer, it got caught up. Parking brake on. It looks really nice, actually, how it convertibilized. It kept a lot of its shape compared to some cars where they just lose all resemblance of what they used to be. This one still looks pretty similar to what it was before I destroyed it. I made it an awesome convertible. Oh, the camera's too low. That's too bad. Alrighty then. On to the next map and the last one, which will be Leap of Death. So for this one's color, I'm thinking we're gonna go blue. Sheriff blue. Looks good. Alright. It's almost a baby blue more than a sheriff blue, but whatever. Oh no, my trailer! It just kind of still goes off the edge though. Trailer, you're awesome. I love you for doing that. Alright, so this one will be a full speed run, which is always a pain because the camera's never at the right angle. As you can see right there, you basically saw nothing. Because usually I don't try to move the camera much on these ones because I know it's such a pain to get it lined up. So I do notice one major glitch right there, it looked like. And oh, it fixed itself. Oh, it broke itself. Yeah, there is one major glitch occurring and I'm not exactly sure what part it's from. Because it's a jumbled mess now. It almost looks like it's from the front section of the car though, which is the part that's mostly stock. So that's kind of surprising. Now, to do one in slow-mo, and I want to try to keep the trailer attached this time, so I'm going to go slow and then got it! So we're going to go really slow off this thing, but the trailer will stay attached. Beautiful. That trailer hitch, it is really wobbly though. Get that slow-mo. How much slow-mo? Just 8 times for now. Screw it, all the slow-mo. Then I can get a real good camera angle on it. Like that. So you can really see it good. Alright. Speed it up just a tiny bit to 8 times. 100 times again, 100 times again. Let me line this camera up. Almost looks like it exploded with all those sparks and stuff. So rear end is destroyed and there's no glitchiness coming from it yet. Front is pretty much intact at the moment. Yeah, the trailer's back. He's like, hook me up! Hook me up! Nope, can't do so. Not gonna happen. Perfectly through that hole, though. That was beautiful. I see that engine just... It looks like it's trying to flap its wings like, I don't want to fall! You're gonna fall. Those little wings are not gonna help you one bit, engine. So it looks like the car has now been... Like, the back end is now touching the front end, basically. Okay, full speed, because, well, we're not going to learn much from here. Just a mangled mess. Oh, there's the glitch again. Whatever part is doing that, it's pretty consistent in doing it. I don't know what is causing it for sure, though. Oh, well. Seems to work pretty good in crashes that are sane, though. It's just the insane. Anyways, until next time, this is WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.